Good afternoon. Thank you for joining Live Border News. This is Johnathon Alexander, and today I've got a special guest, Sam Anthony from yourNEWS, and we'll be right back with you guys here in one moment, and we'll be going live.
I ain't nothing but a simple man. Call me a redneck, I reckon that I am, but there's things going on that make me mad to the core. I gotta work like a dog to make ends meet. Got crooked politicians and crime in the street, and I'm madder than hell, and I ain't gonna take it no more. We tell our kids to just say no. A panty-waist judge lets a drug dealer go, slaps him on the wrist and turns him back out on the town. But if I had my way with those selling dope, take a big tall tree and a short piece of rope, hang them up high, let them swing till the sun goes down. Hell, you know what's wrong with the world today? People done gone, put their Bibles away, living off the law of the jungle, not the law of the land. The good book says it, so I know it's true. It's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. You better watch where you're going. Remember where you've been. That's the way I see it. I'm a simple man. I'm the kind of guy that wouldn't harm a mouse. If I catch somebody breaking in my house, I got a 12-gauge shotgun waiting.
All right, we are back, and I'm going to add to the stage here Sam Anthony. All right, good afternoon, Sam.
Jonathan, how are you? Man, I got to tell you, I was really enjoying that song. I was upset when it got turned off. I'm like, let's finish it. How are you?
Good. So I've got more stories coming over to yourNEWS for you. I appreciate all that you do at getting our reports out there all around the country. And I'd love for you to tell our viewing audience exactly who you are, what you do, and the upcoming stuff that we got going on that's going to be great for everybody.
I definitely will. Thank you for having me. First of all, you guys are the soldiers, right? I mean, you're the ones that are out there on the front lines, taking the enemy shots. What I'm doing behind the scenes is leveraging that so we can actually be the platform that replaces the legacy media. So let me first explain what it is that we do, and then how it's going to benefit somebody like Jonathan or anybody else. My name's Sam Anthony. I'm the president and CEO of a company called Nico Ventures. Nico Ventures is the holding company that owns a domain called yournews.com. yourNEWS is an online daily newspaper. So it's going to look like any news website, like the Miami Herald, the Chicago Tribune, the LA Times. But the difference is, I'm in every city in the United States. So when you log in, your provider tells us where you live, and then it geolocates you just like Twitter or Facebook or any of the tech giants. So you just imagine I'm the daily newspaper in your town, but I'm in every city in the United States. Like all news organizations, every news outlet out there, radio, TV, and print, are what's called aggregators. And what I mean by that is, everybody knows, and Jonathan, you know this too, you know how people that have news will send a press release to the media, right? So if you're a nonprofit, like a church, and you're having a bake sale, or the Cancer Society is going to have some event like a 5K run, they send a press release to the media in that market. So what news organizations are is they're aggregators, and they decide what they're going to air or publish. What we are is an aggregator of the identical content. We just have the ability to print it all because there's no cost, and we can organize it by subject and geography. Meaning, I could make a story appear like somebody's Little League game in Glendale, Arizona, which is in Maricopa County. But I can make it just appear in the sports section in Glendale, while the high school football game, guess what? That's still sports news, but it runs to Maricopa County. And obviously, the Monday Night Football game runs national. So what I am is an information aggregator with massive scale. And what we're doing is bringing all the country's information under one umbrella and creating one uniform media. That's it. And by the way, what I just described, whoever does that is the next Rupert Murdoch of the space. Now, what it's not going to get you is it's not going to get you the hard news like what Johnathon does, like where you're reporting live on what's happening, or the bank robbery or the car crash or the city council meeting. You need boots on the ground for that. And those are called news reporters. And as we all know, the legacy media has a limited lifespan. You've seen the layoffs, Johnathon. I mean, they've been going on for the last decade, but it just keeps getting worse. I can't even believe people are still printing newspapers, right? Or magazines. For the most part, it's all gone. It's just a pittance hanging on. But for those of you who don't know, radio and TV are not going to survive either. And there's a reason. It's because the average age of the cable news viewer is 70 years old. And there's nobody following up behind them. So you're not going to see the 30-year-olds watching CNN or Fox or ABC. Everything they get is right here on their phone on demand. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. So the reason I'm saying this to you is because we all know if anybody's listening to your show, the reason they're listening to your show is because they're tuning out the mainstream media because they don't believe them anymore, like everybody else, because they've lied to us too long. And they're seeking out alternative news because we are the media now, Johnathon. You're the guy on the border. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you saw somebody that was part of the networks like Fox or CNN or ABC at the border? Has anybody?
That's a good question, Sam. And, very seldom do you see them down there. And when you do, they're just there so briefly and they're out of there. So, I mean, but yeah. It's many people like me with boots on the ground that's constantly going down, that's getting this news out to America.
Exactly. So that is exactly my point. First of all, their infrastructure is diminishing. Okay. Like I just showed you, and for your audience, I did a search on LinkedIn Navigator for freelance journalists, but you could take it to any territory. So I just did the United States. If you do the globe, it's over 2 million. Yeah. You saw the number, Johnathon. 500.
Hey, Sam, I'd like to say something to my viewing audience real quick as well. The reason why I use yourNEWS for publishing all my news information on the border is Sam and these guys, they do not cut, they do not edit one bit of your video. What you put out there to yourNEWS is what goes out there to the country.
Exactly. He's right. There's no censorship here. Okay. So what we believe is in freedom of speech, freedom of the press. And what we're doing is we're putting the power of the press back in the hands of the people where it belongs. So as I was describing to you, I showed Johnathon before we all jumped on, there are 510,000 freelance journalists in the United States that are advertising, which means that's over 500,000 news people that are out of work. It's crazy, and nobody's hiring. And Johnathon, there's colleges in Arizona, right? They have journalism classes. Let me ask you a question. As the next 5 or 6 years go on, is the legacy media going to get larger or smaller?
I can tell you right now, Sam, as far as the media out there and people going to college to be a news broadcaster, I feel for them.
Oh, well, nobody's hiring. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Exactly.
And so 5 years from now, there'll be even less jobs.
It's going to totally collapse.
Well, they are. See, keep in mind, Johnathon, there's still a demand for news. It's how people consume it that's changed, right? So what we've created is a platform which empowers everybody. We give everybody the ability to have a voice and be heard. But for content creators that do this for a living, we have a monetization model like YouTube. Like everybody knows, YouTube has a monetization model where they could share in the revenue. So what we do is we take a news reporter, like one of those 500,000 people that lost his job. And what we do is we put him back to work and he writes a story about anything. It could be in Maricopa County. It could be in Phoenix, Chicago, about the city council meeting, the high school football game, the bank robbery, the car crash, whatever the local news is going on. They write the story. We publish that content to the subject and geography that it's relevant to. And then what they do is they share it on their social media pages and their followers come to me to consume it. Okay. And they share in the ad revenue because we sell the ads. The Closest model to me is Facebook, not because we're in that business, but they sell ads around user-generated content. They could do it to one zip code and anywhere in between. And so can we. It's just I don't publish what you had for dinner last night or your kid's baby pictures. We do news. But news could be your kid's Little League game. So if you live in Glendale, Arizona, and your kid played soccer or Little League, that's going to go in my sports section in Glendale only because nobody cares except the people in Glendale and friends and family. And you know as well as I do, that content's going to get put up on Facebook and grandma and grandpa are going to see little Johnny playing soccer or baseball. It's 100% chance. Okay. So this is where news reporting is going. And as I tell people, because, you know, the everything we're witnessing, I mean, Johnathon, I'm going to be 60 years old. I have no idea how old you are, but we got to be fairly close in age, right?
Well, I'm going to be 57 this September.
Oh, you are? Okay. So I'm even older than you, right?
Yeah,
so I'm really old.
So, by a few years.
Yeah. So there are us growing up. We grew up watching CNN, ABC, NBC, and, you know, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you believe these people. And the reason is because in the early 80s, there was over 400 independent news outlets. Today, there's 6, Johnathon. There's 6. Yeah. And they're all owned by billionaires, and they're all controlling the narrative. You ever notice they all say the same crap, basically?
Exactly.
So it's all that whole centralized news where they're going to let you know what happens. And you've seen the videos with Sinclair Broadcasting where they're, you know, like the 30 or 40 TV stations that are all saying the same thing. Yeah. You don't have to be a genius to figure out how that went down. Somebody at corporate wrote the script and sent it to all the stations, and all they were doing was reading off the teleprompter what it said, right?
Well, you know, Sam, I'll give another good example.
Go ahead.
So we had the cartel earlier this past year turn around and flat out say they were going to poison our waterways, the whole 9 yards, blah, blah, blah. We tried to share that over to Fox News, ABC News, NBC News, anybody that was wanting to pick it up. Well, by God, I shared it out there with you guys. You guys covered it. Not only covered it, you shared it with the world. And then next thing you know, exactly what the cartel said they were going to do, they just got done doing it the other day. I think I shared that with you. And where they started poisoning Americans with the fentanyl in the water. And by God, I've had a lot of response from that, thanks to you guys, because nobody else wants to cover this kind of stuff.
Well, Johnathon, here's what I see in the future. And I'm 100% positive this is what's going to happen. You have all these news reporters that are out of work. Okay. Many of them were, you know, obviously part of the downsizing of the legacy media. But then you've got all these students coming out of school, and where are they going to go to work? On top of it, there's a lot of talented people, Johnathon, that never could get a job at a newspaper because there wasn't enough room, or a radio or TV station, that would love to become news reporters. So as I always ask people, if something's happening in Miami or on the border or anywhere, or Phoenix, like at some event, do you believe the guy in New York that's talking to you from ABC, or would you believe the guy more that's standing right there holding his phone up going, this is what's happening? Okay.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
With the boots on the ground.
Okay. So what I envision is you're going to have hundreds of thousands of people that sign up to become what we call citizen journalists. And they're going to be the ones covering the stories like the city council meeting, the high school football game, the bank robbery, the car crash, right? And like anything else, because we have a monetization model, and I'm going to tell you right now, 90% of the money on YouTube gets made by 10% of the people. Do you know that? The reason I'm saying this to you is because the cream always rises to the top. If you're producing content that nobody gives a crap about, nobody's going to watch your stuff, and you're not going to make anything. But if you're producing content that people go, holy crap, I can't wait to see what he puts out again, it's a different animal. The cream always rises to the top. So you're going to have people come out of the woodwork, and some of them are going to end up becoming major talents. But it's all going to be because of a platform like mine. So just to share with your audience, the legacy media is going to be gone. It's not a secret. Everybody knows it. Okay. What I do is inevitable, meaning if I don't do it, somebody else will, like George Soros. And then he'll control the narrative. We have no interest in controlling the narrative. What we have an interest in is putting out the truth that's uncensored, but allowing the journalist to be able to write the story. And Jonathan, I'm going to tell you something. You never worked for a newspaper before, did you?
No, sir.
All right. So some of the stories I hear from news reporters, they're literally pissed. Some of these investigative people, you saw Amy Robach where they told her she couldn't air the Epstein thing. Why do you think that happened? It's pretty easy. There was a phone call that came in saying, you better shut that story down, right?
That's right.
How else would it happen? Okay. So even on a local level, some of my journalists they were investigating a news story. They got a tip. They're investigating the story and they find out all the facts. They completely produce it where it's bulletproof. This is exactly what happened. And the newspaper doesn't run it. They don't give them a reason.
Yep, you're
okay.
100% correct.
And so that is, to me, that's wrong on every level, because what if it's some corrupt politician that the editor happens to like, or they're good friends, or the guy's buying advertising or something. So it's very simple with us. If the journalist comes up with the story, it gets run. The end. And
Hey, Sam, real quick. I want to give one more good example to what you're saying. So we try to share over about Mike with Guns Unlimited, with what Kamala Harris did to him. We tried to share it with Fox News, Jesse Waters, some other guys with Fox News as well. I've got a list that keeps going on and on. Try to get this out to the American people. Nobody wanted to cover the story. By God, I share it out there with you guys. You guys got that story out there to the world. And this is the kind of stuff right here that I love about what you do and your news does for me, because you're getting these stories out for me to the world, where these other news channels do everything they can to keep it from the American people.
And you know what? That's a shame. I have to tell you something. I have a partner in this business, and she always used to tell me that the media is lying to you. And this is before Trump got elected. I'd be like, no, they're not. I mean, they're trying to give you the good stories, whatever it is. But when Trump won the election, all of a sudden they completely turned and went against them and started manufacturing stuff. That's when the light bulb went off for me. But she had seen it a long time earlier. Now they're just throwing it in your face. Oh, he's a Russian agent. He's a racist. They just made stuff up. And even when it was discredited, they continued to say it. And it's so bad that my neighbors who live next door to me, who are 82 years old, who are very good people. He was in the Army, right? He's a vet. And these people are patriotic. They fly an American flag every day. And they think Trump is a racist. He's a felon, which, because they whatever it is, they think he's a Russian agent. They think he's a horrible human being because that's how the media portrays them. And they don't have Rumble. They don't even know what Rumble is.
Right.
So they don't have access to the information that you are putting out and all these other thousands of people are putting out. So Ann Vandersteel says it all the time. Sam, we are the media now. So what my platform does for you guys, when I'm done, once we've aggregated all the content, we replace the legacy media. And what we're building is the largest news organization in the world. And it is a truth platform where everybody can speak their mind and everybody can have a voice. And like I said, the cream will rise to the top. But what's going to end up happening is it will be a platform like mine that replaces the legacy media. What you do not want is somebody that's not like me to run this thing, because then they'll be able to suppress the news that they don't want out there.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. All that information that was coming out about COVID-19 and about the shots, none of it got out because the tech giants were all censoring it and the media was not talking about it. Okay. They were just pushing stuff down your throat. It turns out that the cheapest drugs were the ones that worked the best.
Well, something else, Sam, when I've been out in the field reporting, or I've been down in Phoenix, or even that's out in Tennessee, I've had people turn around and say, "You're Johnathon Alexander, aren't you?" And I said, Yeah. Do I know you? They said, "No, but we saw you on yourNEWS." So that speaks volume for as much as you're getting just a small guy like me out there to the world.
Jonathan, I get, so much content flows through me. Like I was just proving a ton of stories that just came in right before we got on this call.
Oh, I know you
let me tell you an interesting story. I have a gentleman that runs my database. He's my CTO. The guy's phenomenal. His name's Kevin. And Kevin lives in North Carolina. His sister lives by me, and she's running for Congress in here in Palm Beach County. Her name is Meg. Meg has a competitor, and her name is Gabby Fox. Okay. And Gabby found out about me from somebody else. And Gabby put up a story about Megan that was not damaging in any way. It was actually well written. It covered a lot of facts about her opponent, who got all these endorsements from Matt Gaetz, and I don't know all the names of them, but I know even Donald Trump endorsed her. Okay. So she's all the way up the food chain. Well, the story wasn't about the fact that she was getting endorsements. The story was that she donated to their campaign, and a few days later, she got an endorsement. Okay. Kind of a pay-to-play thing. But every single person she got endorsed from, she wrote a check to, or her husband did, because her husband has money, right? And so when I read the story, I said to myself, I go, oh, crap, this is Kevin's sister, right? So I'm thinking to myself, let's see how he's going to handle it. Now, I had an idea on how he was going to handle it, but I just wanted to see. So I published the article, and I said, let me look at my watch. What time, like how long is it going to take for Kevin to call me? Because he doesn't watch content coming in. It's not what he does. Within 60 minutes, my phone rings. It's him. And he says, Sam. I go, hey, Kevin, what's going on? I've been waiting for your call. And he says, so do you know there's a story about my sister that's up? I go, yes, I've been waiting for your call. So tell me, what do we need to do? He said, nothing. That's what this is all about. Somebody spent a lot of time coming up with this information. They dug to find this stuff out, and there is nothing here that's false. It's all accurate. And the reality is, when I read the story, I go, well, this person's pissed off because she don't have a husband rich enough to buy the endorsements, but she's pissed at the system. That's how the system works. And so it's certainly not going to damage Meg's campaign. The point is, within 60 minutes, that article came in, got distributed out on social media. It started flying around. At least a few thousand people read that article, got to Meg, who then called her brother, who then called me to tell me, great job. It's the way it should be. This is what it's all about. Yeah, and I thought that was cool. I figured he was going to do that.
Well, I can tell you right now, Sam, I'm impressed with how fast my stories get out there to the world. So, what you're doing is amazing work.
Thank you. And what you're doing is amazing. Here's what I'm doing, though. Think of it this way. The legacy media is going to be gone. Everybody needs a place to work. They need to go back to work, and there needs to be a place where they can make money. What I'm doing is building the business model where we could support local journalism. Remember, there's still a demand for local news. It's just how people consume it has changed. And so what we've created is a model to support it. And remember this, the local news is the backbone of a free society. Without it, we're all screwed. Because when you don't have local news reporting, and I don't have a guy like Johnathon Alexander that could be covering a specific topic, like let's say you were intimate with all the politicians in Maricopa County, and you uncover a story about somebody committing crimes or embezzling money or taking bribes because they're, somebody's building a building and they're getting that stuff. The people need to know this stuff, because it's not going to be the cops that find out, Jonathan. Cops usually read the story and then go arrest the guy.
Yes.
Right? It's the investigative journalists that find out all this information, not the police.
Give me 1 second, Sam. I was just answering Steve's question there that he asked.
Okay.
All right. So one of the things I'd like to just really express to the viewing audience out there, if you guys are tired of being silenced, if you're tired of like Facebook monitoring everything you say, takes away your free speech, whatever, you know what? I'm going to highly suggest you look into yournews.com, Sam Anthony. I don't know if you'd like to give your number out or not, Sam, for anybody, or if you got a number to give out, but definitely look into yournews.com or contact me directly, and I can walk you through it on how to become part of Your News and get stuff out there with these guys as well. This is an amazing opportunity for all you guys out there that are getting laid off or getting tired of your news reports not getting out there to the world. You've got to look into yournews.com. So, and my direct phone number is 928-716-3189. And you guys can definitely reach out to me anytime.
Yeah, and listen, if you're somebody who wants to be in the news business and be a news reporter, we have an application. So if you log into yournews.com and you go to the bottom of the page, it'll say become a citizen journalist. Just click that link, fill out the form. It will come to us. We will review it. We always have to review everything to make sure, like people need to put in their social media pages so we could take a look to see if somebody's not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, because we don't want just anybody on there. We want to make sure there's people on there that that are actually, not going to piss other people off or do things that are bad. So,
hey, yeah. Sam, I've got a couple people asking questions here.
Go ahead.
We got Stephen Thomas. He owns the Loaded Gun Coffee out here in Lake Havasu, Arizona. He goes to the border with me all the time. He's wanting to know, do you have a sponsorship program?
Yeah, advertising. You can ask him if does he sell his product just locally, or does he sell it all in Arizona, or is it national? Doesn't matter.
He sells his coffee national.
His coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loaded Gun Coffee, guys, if you ain't had it, it's the best coffee, as far as I'm concerned, in the whole country. And I am a coffee snob, I'll tell you. When it comes to quality of coffee, this guy has the bomb. That's great coffee. Okay. And so you got to try it out, Sam. It's awesome.
Okay.
Also, Ricky L. Shores. Let's see. This is the most accurate description of what happened in NBC, CBS in the past decade. When they bash Republicans, everyone knows Democrats are socialist communist regime. So
there's no question. Right.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, Ricky. So, anyways, as far as Stephen, you're talking about how you can do the sponsorship program.
So the way our model works is you as the advertiser are going to decide what type of content you want your ad to run around. It's pretty simple. If you sell golf clubs, you want to be around golf related content, because within sports, we have a golf section and people read it every day. And then if you sell pots and pans or anything cooking related, we have a food and wine section. If you sell guns, we have a Second Amendment section. No, anybody reading that category is into guns. Okay. So perfect place. But then coffee, well, that gets drank by everybody. It doesn't really matter. So is the packaging, is it like got an American flag? Because we have a lot of conservative content where our audience, just so you know, we have a lot of podcasters on that were all kicked off of YouTube and deplatformed. And so my audience, last year we had 5.4 million people consume over 100 million articles. So what you want to do is take the content you want your ad to run around and tag it to that. And then you could distribute to a zip code, to a city, to a county, state, regional, or national. And then you set your budget of how many eyeballs you want to see your ad. It's really simple. Kind of works the same as Facebook.
So to help answer your question, Stephen Thomas, I know you're on here watching this. I'll visit you over in Lake Havasu. We'll sit down and go over this together and get Sam on the phone at the same time and see if we can't get you out there to the world.
Ask him what is the name of his coffee. I'll go look it up.
Yeah, it's Loaded Gun Coffee.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
LOADED Gun Coffee.
God, my computer's doing weird things. It won't even allow me to type in here. Oh, it's just okay. Well, I know what it is, but my computer's not going to allow me to open anything. So for some reason, this whole StreamYard thing is Probably got to reboot it when we're done. But yes, and by the way, my email is sam@yournews.com. So, Loaded Gun Coffee would be perfect in our 2A section.
So what you guys can do is go on to Loaded Gun here. I'm going to type it in the conversation here. You can go to loadedguncoffee.com. There we go. So you guys can look up loadedguncoffee.com, and there it is for you too, Sam.
Okay. Loaded Gun Coffee. Yeah, for some reason, everything's opening in a new tab. I can't seem to open anything. It doesn't really matter. So, and I'm just guessing because maybe the StreamYard thing, I need to reboot my computer or anything. So as we were saying, Jonathan, the legacy media is going to be gone. And what we do, just imagine, because we have 20,000 cities, and I'm guesstimating probably need about 5 people a city. Certainly Phoenix is going to need more than 5, right? But maybe there's a smaller city like Carefree where it might need 2 or 3. I don't know. It depends on the size of the city. But I'm guesstimating we'll probably have, in terms of news reporters as we build out, just in the United States, 100,000. That's about 5 people a city. New York's going to need more than 5 people. I can assure you of that. I'm talking just the city proper, or Chicago. And then all the different podcasters, whether it's entertainment or business or sports. Somebody could have a soccer show, a golf show. Somebody could do horse racing news. It's very broad in scope. So what I want your audience to understand is there's news sites out there like not Brighteon. I'm thinking the Breitbart or The Hill or Just the News. The issue they face with those is there's no scale to them. And what I mean by that is you can't go to Just the News or Breitbart and find out about your kid's Little League game. You cannot go to Brighteon or Lindell TV, which is Frank's Speech. You can't go to Patriot TV, which is General Flynn's platform, and find out that the rooftop bar in Chicago opened, or the museum after 70 years shut its doors in New York. And so there is strictly political content. What I am is mass media, because I do local news all over the United States. I got everything from the bank robbery to the rooftop bar opening in a specific area. So what I do becomes the next mass media, where you could have millions of people contributing, like Facebook for news. And I guess the best description here would be our platform is Facebook meets YouTube, which is the monetization model for news. And we're building the largest news organization in the world. And like anything that you build like that, it takes resources and time to build it. So that's why we're on the show anyway, right? Because you wanted me to share with you or with everybody what we're doing.
Yeah, Sam, I'd like for you to share about the newest thing that you got that just came out that you sent over to me, which is very exciting in my opinion. How people can get involved with that as well if they choose to.
Jonathan, my background is investment banking. I worked in that industry for 20 years. One of the places I worked before I came to Florida was Lehman Brothers in Chicago. And it was before the whole collapse, with 2005, with the real estate collapse, where Paulson, didn't bail out Lehman, but bailed out his former company, Goldman. And then Goldman bought all the assets for 5 cents on the dollar from Lehman. So more crony capitalism at its finest. But normally, like if you look at all the tech giants, Facebook, Twitter, Uber, Amazon, LinkedIn, Netflix, all of them come out of Silicon Valley, 100% of them. And right. Silicon Valley is the hub. And what they are is they've got funds and they look for they call it deal flow. And deal flow could be a product like mine. It could be a product like Amazon or something you haven't seen yet. And what they do is they not only bankroll them, they bring in management and they scale these things up to behemoths, but they do it in record speed. So nobody else could capture the market. And so when you look at something like Amazon, I don't know if you remember, but they were hemorrhaging money for years before they went to the black. Okay. Right. They didn't even care. It was market share. They wanted to build market share and build the brand so nobody can compete with them. And not for nothing, but they're a monopoly. They really are. Okay. I mean, Amazon is just massive. I mean, they touch everybody's lives, and they're in every country in the world. So the problem that we face with somebody like Silicon Valley is they won't play with us. For those of you who don't understand why, go to my front page on yournews.com and look at the articles. They ain't playing unless you're a liberal product. They're not going to play with you. So the reason we're in the mess we're in today is because of the media. And nobody disputes that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if the media was calling out everything, if they were to tell you before the election that Hunter Biden's laptop was real, if they were to tell you that Joe Biden really had dementia and he wasn't fit to be president, none of this would exist. If they were to tell you all the election fraud that was going on, with all the cheating that was happening, none of this would exist today. But somehow this administration, call it the, what's the word I'm looking for? It's basically the old guard. They've got the FBI in their back pocket, the Justice Department, and they've got the media on their side somehow. And the tech giants. So you've got all the tech giants doing all the censoring, and you got the media suppressing information that's real and telling you it's fake. That's the problem. So the Silicon Valleys of the world are not going to play with me. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to make the same mistakes that the legacy media made, because all those 400 independent news outlets in the 80s all were acquired by 6 major companies. Okay. And and there's 2 hedge funds that control them, BlackRock and Vanguard. So what we decided to do was do something called an equity crowdfund. So this is going to be different than the Give, Send, Goes or the GoFundMe's where, my mom broke her hip and needs an operation. Can you donate to me? This has nothing to do with that. When I was in Miami about, call it a year and a half ago, I went to a Reawaken America tour, which there was over 5,000 people that attended. And I'm looking around and, you had Flynn there and all these big names there. And they all came because these are all patriots and they wanted to see the people that they watch on Rumble every day. And I looked around and I said, my God, these are the people that are passionate about this country. These are the people that should own my product. Okay. They're the ones that really should own it. So what we decided to do was something called an equity crowdfund. And the way equity crowdfunds work is you do not have to be an accredited investor, which means you have to have a net worth of over $1 million or have an income of $200,000. It could be anybody, and you could buy stock in the company. And so to me, I would rather, we're doing, just so you know, we're doing a $5 million capital raise, which means we're selling stock in the company. And I would rather have 5,000 people give me $1,000, which is 5 million, rather than 1 or 2 people give me 5 million and now I'm beholden to them, right? And here's the other reason why. So we present ourselves as we're a news organization that's by the people, for the people, and we're putting the power of the press back in the hands of the people where it belongs. Well, if we're a news organization that's by the people, for the people, Jonathan, shouldn't the people actually own the product?
That's right.
Right? Shouldn't the people own the product? So what I envision, and it's a little harder to do it this way, but at the end of the day, I think we'll be very successful at it. So the way we set it up is anybody can buy stock in the company, and you could spend as little as $200 and buy equity. And anywhere in between. Okay. And so we're going to have, because this just came out yesterday at like 2:30, it was finished. So we haven't even promoted. As a matter of fact, this is the first show I'm actually on that's live, that's promoting it. Okay. So nobody even knows about this other than a handful of people. And now I have to start getting on shows. Now,
well, I can tell you right now, Sam, I'm making my first purchase today into it. So
do it. I want to know. I want you to tell me how it goes. Now,
I believe in you guys and believe in what we're doing, and more power to you guys.
So there's a reason why we're doing it this way, and we're doing a $5 million raise, but I'm going to let everybody know we'll end up getting this done because I've got about 150 podcasters on my platform. Like I just picked up one, and his audience reach on every show is between 100 and 150,000 people. So I'm guessing, you know, you're not going to get everybody, but you might get 1%. Well, that's 1,000 to 1,500 people from one guy. Okay. So it could be 1.5 million off of just one. Then I've got about 15 people that work for me that do social media that have a reach of about 3 million that are all going to start pumping this out next week and pushing it out to, you know, like Heidi has 78,000 people on True Social, and many of them are investors because she's an investor in Trump's True Social. Okay. So she's like deals with a lot of the investors, and she's going to be one of our investors that puts money in and all that stuff. So we've got big reach. But the second thing we're going to do is we're going to do a round much higher. Like this round, it's a $5 million raise, and we're selling, I think it's a little more than 2.5 million shares at $2. But for the first 480 grand, it's $1.60. Right. So instead of spending $2,000 for 1,000 shares, you're spending 1,600 in that example. Okay. So it's the difference is a $16 million valuation versus a $20 million valuation. So it's just a little extra money to prime the pump. But as we get rolling, the plan here is very simple. It's to shore up the tech side and build something that's not going to be hackable, because right now we're a target and nobody's ever hacked us ever. But we want to be on our own platform, and we want to do it via the blockchain, because the bigger we get, this thing is going to turn into a behemoth, and we're going to have to be able to handle the traffic that comes to it. So you're going to want to have proprietary software that's yours. Now, Jonathan, you saw the 510,000 people on LinkedIn that call themselves freelance journalists, which means I need a job. Now, being realistic, because I could ask you the question, how many of them you think I'll get? And you're going to say all of them. You're not. But I could tell you we'll probably get 200,000 or 300,000. And of those 200,000 or 300,000, remember I was telling you the cream will rise to the top? You're probably going to keep 40,000 or 50,000 that are going to be, you know, because they're making money. Right. But the rest, they're going to write a story. Nobody's going to read it because they suck. And it's just the way it's going to work. Kind of like on YouTube. You know how many YouTubers quit? Okay. Yeah. They don't make anything. There's like a zillion of them. It'll be the same thing. But then we're going to be reaching out to the public and marketing to the public. You ever thought about being a news journalist? We're going to be reaching out to students. By the way, let me tell you who has the most followers. I was talking to a kid that is still in school at Columbia, Missouri for journalism school. And I said to him, I don't remember his name, but I asked him, how many people do you have on social media following you? And so he goes, well, I don't know. And, you know, it isn't a lot. I said, okay, what's not a lot? He goes, well, it's not a huge amount. Like he was embarrassed. I said, okay, what's not a huge amount? He goes, 20,000. I went, what? I go, do you ever go outside and play ball? Okay, what, do you just sit in the house and try and find friends on your computer? I mean, that's a lot of people, right? I mean, this is somebody who's 20 years old. What is he doing? But that's that era.
Well, you know, Sam, I've been doing this for years, and I'm only up to 25,000. So
exactly. I mean, this is a kid.
Yeah.
Okay, but people are following you because you have content that's what they want to see. This is somebody who doesn't produce content yet. He's still in school. In any event, I get it. It's people. It's that era, and that's where all the money is going to be made. So the guy with the biggest social media following is going to be the guy that makes the most money. It's just how it's going to work. You know, like if you had 1,000 people following you and you posted a story and shared it to the 1,000, let's just say you get 10% of them. It means you got 100 people. But if you had 100,000 and you got 10% of them, you see what I mean? Yep. You get 10,000 viewers, which means you made 10 times the money. And by the way, it works this way, same way on YouTube. It's identical.
That's right.
It's all about the followers. What we've produced is the business model that supports you guys. So at full scale, whatever Facebook could generate in revenue, we can do. So if they generate in the United States an ad revenue, let's say $1 billion a quarter or $2 billion a quarter, we can do. But then a portion of that money gets dispersed to the content creators based on where the ads were seen.
Yep.
That's the cool part. So we're doing an equity crowd fund, It was just launched yesterday at like 2:30, I think is when it went live. So nobody really knows about it at the moment, but you'll start seeing money come in there, and it'll probably take me a month to get this thing rolling because we're going to be on podcasts talking and people are going to hear it. And then people are going to be able to go and make investments, and they could spend as little as $200 or as much as they want. Just all depends on your income and what you can afford. But ultimately, here's the plan for the company. And I've hired a gentleman to do all this stuff. He's been working for me for 7 months. We've decided that the route we're going to go at the moment is to take the company public via a direct listing. He's very capable of doing this. He's done 17 of them. And he knows something that I don't know on how to get this stuff done. So, and he's very expensive, by the way. So we're doing this $5 million round, followed up by a $75 million. Now, what he did tell me was we may take the company public quicker because I have broker dealers, and once you're public, they'll want to participate in the next round.
Right.
So everything's fluid. I would personally rather bring in 100 million or more, but you know, we'll play it out and see where it goes. From our standpoint, it's really just going to be putting the tech in place. It's going to be bringing on more salespeople than Sam to start selling the ads, because we have plenty of traffic for the advertisers. They just need to understand how it works. And then we're going to be test marketing things from the content and marketing side for the users, you know, to be able to onboard for the journalists. But we want to make sure that we've got that dialed in and the support staff for it, because remember, no article goes live on our site without somebody approving it. And we're not approving it for validity. We're approving it to make sure nobody's putting any porn in. And also we're making sure that we're putting it in the proper category. So for some reason, everybody who posts a story to my site thinks it's front page news national. It could be your kid's Little League game. So we have to put the content in the proper categories, because the advertisers, like your coffee guy, okay, if somebody's selling golf clubs, they don't want to be around politically charged content. They want to be around golf content, because when somebody's reading a golf story, you know what they're thinking of? Golf. Lose 3 strokes off your putting score. Click here to learn more, right? You know, which takes them to a new putter. I mean, that's what it's all about. So it's really, we want to make sure the content's published in the proper area so that the advertiser gets the best bang for its buck.
So one of the things I'd like to just get out there to the viewing audience. I've known Sam for quite some time. I've been broadcasting with you guys for what, a little over a year, I believe it is already. Time flies. Wow. But either way, you know, this is kind of like people that invested into like Amazon, Facebook, whatever, you know, Apple.
Yeah.
My suggestion is get in on the ground floor while you can, so you're not going to kick yourself in your ass 12 months down the road. You're going to go, wow, I'm glad I got in on the ground floor. As far as I'm concerned, Sam, you guys are like news on steroids. You guys are going to just put all these other news agencies right in the ground, and they're going to hate us. They are going to hate us.
They will,
because we are allowing for free speech. We are allowing for people to get their true news out, not this fake news bullshit. And it's not going to just sound like a broken record every day on the news channel. And if you guys haven't been to yournews.com yet, and a lot of you guys have been on there seeing my reports, get on there, check out the news reports, and you'll just go, wow, this ain't any kind of news that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, exactly. I had a gentleman I was talking to yesterday that, you know, he and his wife raised capital for conservative deals, and I spent 2 hours with him after I talked to his wife first. Lovely people. She was blown away by it. And so then she says, I want you to speak to my husband. And the husband and I spent 2 hours on the phone, and he's very bright. And one of the questions he asked me was, so what is the void that you fill? Okay. What is the void? And I said, the void is the 500,000 people that are out of work, that have nowhere to go, with more coming out of school going, where are we going to go to work? Right. And by the time I showed him what we did, he said to me, you're right. What you do is inevitable. It's coming. So, so now he's going through all the documents, which, by the way, I do want to show people where they invest in this, because, by the way, this is an equity crowdfund, which means it's a link. And not only can you click it, but you could watch the video of me talking, which explains what we're doing. And then if you like what you hear, it'll say invest, and you just fill out the paperwork, and you could, I think, buy through credit card or, check, or however you're going to do it. But there's a link to go to. And I don't know if you could, I'm going to try and share my screen just for a minute to see if it works. Let me share screen, and whoops, wrong one. Hold on. Nico Ventures offering. So, Jonathan, do you see what I'm looking at?
I do. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share it with the audience.
Okay.
No. Okay. There we go. Let me enlarge this, Sam. I'm going to enlarge the screen.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so you see this invest in Nico Ventures, which I'm going to explain why we call it Nico Ventures. Everybody sees this? Do you see at the top of the page the URL link? Or no?
At the top of the page, the URL link. I see.
It's all in blue right now.
Okay, I see investor login terms privacy.
Mr. Login. Oh, here. Okay, way at the top, like where you would type in Google or something. You don't see issuanceexpress.com/Nico/regcf.
No, I don't see them.
What I need them to know is the link. So how could they get that link?
So here's what we're going to do. I'm going
Tell
to
me.
personally, give me a second here.
I'm going to stop sharing that.
So let me shrink the screen a little bit. Okay. Do you see the comment section right there, Sam, where you can type?
Yeah.
Type in that website.
Okay. I click comments, and it says join the chat, right?
Yep.
Connect to a comment. Join the chat. So I click okay, so join the chat, and it's asking me. See, my website, my computer for some reason is acting up, and it's not allowing me to do it.
I'm going to type it in for you. You want to spell it again?
Well, I do, but I sent you an email. Could you copy and paste it in there? Be easier.
Let me see if I can get into my email here. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I see.
I should have responded to one of yours.
Actually, why don't you respond to the one I sent you just a minute ago, but when we came onto the show?
To do it right now.
And then I will copy and paste that. Let me see if I can do this here.
All right, I just sent it to you.
Okay. Okay. And just got it.
Now, the private chat, it allowed me to do it.
Okay, I'm going to try to share this over. Let me see if I can share this. Okay, for some reason, it's not. Let me put it here. Okay, I just got it out there, Sam.
It worked for you. Yeah, you did. Issuance. So it's issuanceexpress.com/Nico/regcf. Okay, so I wanted to share with your audience why the company is called Nico Ventures. The plan here, this is a roll-up model. And what I mean by a roll-up model is we plan on acquiring other verticals that complement what we do. And I'll give you an example. There's people that do horse racing news. There's websites that just do horse racing. There's websites that do boxing. There's websites that do home and garden. There's websites that do recipes and cooking shows, okay? At every single newspaper on planet Earth, there's a sports editor, a business editor, a politics editor, so on and so forth, right? For every category, a lifestyle editor. So the plan is to acquire these different verticals once we go public. So we're going to buy them with paper. That guy's going to become the editor-in-chief for that particular vertical, but he knows everything about horse racing. I know nothing about it. I'm the platform. And as I explained to people, imagine, Jonathan, if you and I owned a football stadium. We don't play in the NFL. We'll never make the cut. But we're builders. We're developers. We own the stadium. We bring in the teams, which are the draw, right? The people come because they want to see them. And we go downstairs and sell them all the tickets. And when they come inside, we sell them all the concessions, the hot dogs and the popcorn and the beers and the Cokes. We are in the platform business, not in the news business. We just have a news platform. So we provide news related content, but all of the people that we roll up will all have niche businesses with revenues, and it all flows under us. So that's another example that I'm giving you. So the word Nico, by the way, is we've decided to do that because Fox News is owned by News Corp. News Corp is the holding company that owns multiple media companies. Nico Ventures is like News Corp. It's the holding company where we can acquire the other verticals, and it owns yourNEWS. The word Nico, if you type in Nico in Google and put definition, means victory of the people. And that's why we went with that name.
I love it.
I couldn't believe it. Look, it's a Greek name. It's somebody, they call their kid Nico. It's a name. But the name, by definition, is victory of the people. That's what it means. I thought that was really powerful.
That is powerful, especially for all the crap we're all going through nowadays.
Yeah, listen, it's all coming to an end. Okay, in the next 6 or 7 years, there won't be a Fox or a CNN or an ABC or an NBC, and I'm going to tell you why. What does the average person live to, Jonathan?
Nowadays, well, I don't know. I'm going to be lucky to make it to 70 with my lifestyle.
Well, but the average age is 76, maybe 77. Yeah. Well, if their average age is 70 years old, that's viewing, and nobody's watching behind, how many years do you think they have? And it's not like they're going to be going, wait, there's still that one guy watching. Okay. It's not going to work that way. It's all you got to do is follow the money. The money goes where the people are. So if you look at the online ad spend, which is going this way versus television, radio, it's going the exact opposite direction.
Well, Sam, and once people really catch on to this and start to really understand that the way we're reporting with yourNEWS out there to the world, we're not being censored. We are not being silenced. And that's going to draw more and more journalists to yourNEWS anyways, because so many reporters are getting tired of them taking your story, cutting and editing the story, making it look like some fake news bullshit. And it's totally just the opposite of what the true story is. And this is why you guys are like on steroids here, because when you report with you guys, the world gets to see the damn truth. And that's what's vital. So can't express enough.
Listen, there's nothing more important. My neighbors next to me are going to be voting for Kamala, not because they like her, but because they think that Trump's a Russian asset and a horrible human being, because the media told them. So you're only as good as the information you have. That's my point. Okay. So eventually all of them are going to be gone.
Yep.
And they'll be replaced by what I do. It's what I keep saying. What I do is inevitable. Why not let it be us versus somebody else? The marketplace is vast. The people are looking for this stuff, and it's going to be this way whether we're here or not. It's irrelevant. So we're looking, as I tell people, we could use all the help we can get. It's really the financial resources. I want to be backed by the people, not by institutional players or hedge funds. So that's why we reach out to people that have an audience like you to say, look, if you're looking for an investment, we'll turn it into money, but we need your help. And you could spend as little as $200 and everywhere in between. It doesn't really matter. We want the people to own this product, not the corporations.
That's right. And for me, that's really important, to know that it's the people that owns it, not the the networks.
Exactly. And by the way, you could put it up there if anybody wants to reach out to me, if you have questions, if you want to, talk about advertising, it's sam@yournews.com, but it's pretty simple, but you could put that in there if you want. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have on the investment side and the advertising side. If you're interested in becoming a news reporter and you want to, we're talking a news report because like anybody could set up an account and they can post opinions and we don't monetize everybody. But if you're actually looking to become a news reporter where you're writing local news stories or videos, you would just go down to yournews.com to the bottom of the page and click on Become a Citizen Journalist. And you fill out the application.
Hey, Sam, the Sam and then the @ symbol, correct?
Yeah, sam@yournews.com. Yeah,
I
not at. Yeah,
I spelled it out. sam@yournews.com. There we go.
Perfect.
We go.
Yeah. Any questions for me at all, Jonathan?
No, Sam, like I said, I'm excited in the direction that your news is going. You've come a long way, and it's just amazing to watch the growth and be a part of it with your news. And I appreciate all that you've done for me and helping get me out there to the world as well. I thank you for that. And for all you reporters out there, again, check out yournews.com, reach out to Sam, and just come be a part of us and grow with us.
Absolutely. Yes. Putting the power to press back in the hands of the people where it belongs.
Amen.
So, honestly, Jonathan, I see this platform as it expands and takes off. I think because remember, every news organization on planet Earth gets tips. Now, there's a lot of people that have worked for people in the administration, right? Some people work for Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. Some people have looked for many of these people that have been in Congress for 30, 40 years, right?
Yeah.
How much dirty laundry do you think these people have? And I'm sure some of the people that work for them have documents that prove it. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So now they're not sending it to Fox or CNN or ABC because nobody's going to hear it. Nobody. And not only that, they're going to report them to the feds, and then the feds are going to come kick down their door. So the beauty is with us, what I see is this is going to become the next WikiLeaks, right down to the local level. Because you send that to us, my journalists I'm going to send it to one of my journalists. The journalists are going to vet it. If it's real, it runs. Tough crap. I don't care. And what are you going to do? Come after me? It's called Section 230. You know, the things that are saving all the other tech giants? Well, guess what? I fall under it too.
That's right.
Yeah. It's that because we're not saying it's factual or not. Believe it or the journalist is going to run it. Ask the journalist. They'll provide you the documentation. It's about time we started getting this information out. And the gatekeepers were the media who blocked it all.
That's all right. And
Sam,
at the end of the day, ABC News, NBC, Fox News, all these guys, they're going to hate us because we are the ones on top of the stories getting the truth out.
Jonathan, you're replacing them. We are the media.
That's what I mean. We're going to make these guys look awful, and we're going to sink them. They're just going to be done.
Jonathan, do you know how many? Well, I looked it up. I'll tell you what it is. In terms of the amount of news reporters, the largest news organization in the world is Associated Press. Second is going to be Reuters. Reuters, don't forget, these are all global, right? So they have reporters all over the globe. Now, just in the United States, there's 20,000 cities. I don't know how many countries there are, but there's got to be a couple hundred of them at least, right? And then how many cities in every country? Because one person can't cover China. It will never happen, right? Or Russia. So how many news people do you think Reuters or Associated Press would have?
Yeah.
How many do you think? Because I thought it was massive.
Because you thought it was what? I'm sorry.
Massive. I thought it was massive. I thought it was like 40, 50,000.
Yeah. I was going to guess around 80,000, but.
Okay. So Reuters is 2,500 and AP is roughly around 3,000.
Wow.
Oh my God. I'll blow through that in the state of New York.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? I plan on adding, just in terms of news reporters for local news, 100,000 people.
That's huge.
No kidding. And by the way, for your audience, I'm going to tell you another thing. That's where it begins. I'm going to tell you what the future of news really holds. It's going to be a global media giant by zip code. All tech giants are global because the barrier to entry to another country is literally zero. Okay. It's not like you got to cross the ocean. It's the internet, right? So for me, if I wanted to open up England, it's just a zip code table. That's it. Okay. And it's free, by the way. And we already have the infrastructure. You just boom, England's up and running. And then you start marketing to bring on news reporters to provide local content. But the future of news will be a global media giant by zip code. Mark my words, with a social component where the public can interact and share their own news, views, opinions, and basically, share in the narrative. It'll have a monetization model for the out of work news reporters and the audio and video content creators, basically citizen journalists across the globe, where they can report the news, and a self-service ad platform where people can buy their own ad targeted around the content that's relevant to their product. Right. There's no shot I'm wrong. This is where it's going. We are the only player. There isn't another. I don't even know what to say.
Like I said, Sam, I'm just excited to be a part of this and to watch this grow.
Thanks. Well, I'm glad that you are a part of it, and you are the guys that I admire the most, because you're the ones out in the trenches, taking all the bullets for everybody, and you're putting all this information out. What I'm going to do is create a business model that's massive for you, where you guys could actually make a living at all this stuff,
which is going to be outstanding as well.
You bet.
Yeah. You got Karen O on here. She said Davenport, Florida, just up the road from you.
Davenport. It probably is. Yeah. So, Karen, I'm in a place called Palm City, which is where Dan Bongino lives. So I see him at the gym from time to time, and Ann Vandersteel lives here too. Also, Dr. Jane Ruby, if you know Dr. Jane, she just bought a house right up the street from me.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's get Dan Bongino on board with this too.
That's what I got to do. Right. I don't see him enough over there, but I've talked to him a couple times.
Because I know they do the best to monitor him anymore.
He's huge. Him and, Tucker, I don't remember, but I think he was like the number 5 or 6 podcasts in the United States or something like that. So the guy's got a massive audience. Yeah. And I looked him up. Somebody told me he owned Rumble. He owns 5% of Rumble.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Rumble has a $2 billion market cap. So do the math on that. What's 5% of that?
Yeah, that's huge.
I know. It's $100 million.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot.
Well, Sam, anything else you'd like to add to this before we end this broadcast today?
Listen, it's, as far as the, your audience that listens to this now or that's going to tune into it later, because I'm sure it's going to air in other places, right? There's only 2 ways to solve this problem. One is through a violent revolution, which you do not want. Okay. The second way is through information. Okay. And the legacy media is going out of business. There's a 100% chance that's going to happen. What's going to replace it is what I do. So you want me to control this. That's the point. So what we do actually saves the republic. It's going to take a little longer. If you had 1 million people put together, you could do it a lot quicker than what we're going to do. But what we're going to do ultimately is going to get this information out. And it's, by the way, Jonathan, it's no different than my database guy's sister who found out in an hour, right? Imagine if you had an article about Nancy Pelosi embezzling money with the actual facts. How many people you think would read that story? You see what I mean? It would fly everywhere, is my point. This was a little local election, and she got it in an hour because it was sent to her. But we'll get that information. And then, the feds are going to come to my house, and you know what I'm going to tell them. So listen, this is your politician that's screwing everybody. So I really don't give a rat's ass what you think is pretty much the story I'm going to give them.
Yep. Gotta love your attitude, Sam.
You should.
Again, you guys can go to Sam at yournews.com and check out the links that we provided here today. There's a lot of opportunity to grow with us, and I highly recommend it to all journalists out there or people that's just starting to get into it. And you're going to find with your news, once again, I'm going to say it, you're not going to be having your stories cut and edited. What's put out there on your news is what the world gets to see, period. What you have to say, get it out to America. So, Sam, you got an outstanding thing going here. And again, I'm just very honored to be a part of it.
Oh, thank you very much. And, I hope that your viewers will make an investment in this, because this is the future, what I do. And I'll do everything in my power to take it to fruition and get us a payday. Also, the public thing I'm not a fan of, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because they shut down Parler because there was only a handful of investors. We will get 20 or 30 million people investing in this. When it goes public, you'll get a lot of them. So we're going to take it public, but I'm going to tell you why I'm doing it. It's not because I want to be regulated by the government. It's because I want, it's basically a shield. You're not going to take down something that 20 million people own. It's not going to happen. Matter of fact, it's going to enhance us even bigger than life is what it's going to do. So it's a shield to make sure that we can continue on.
That's right. And again, there's nothing more important than getting the real news out there. And again, kind of like what you're saying, these government agencies, they try to do so much propaganda, bullshit news, just like Trump's assassin. Look at there. I mean, I'll speak my mind. This is my channel. And I'll just say it. I think that was an attempted assassination by our government to get Trump out of the way. I mean, the facts are pointing to it. I mean, Secret Service, come on, guys, wake up. But either way, this is why it's important to have your news. It's for journalists like me that want to get information out there, get the truth out there. And this is the way we get it out there, guys. Otherwise, you're on Facebook, or as I call it, fake book. You look at the reality behind it. They cut your broadcast. They censor you. They'll flag you. Even shut down your accounts. Same thing with YouTube. So many of them. With your news, you're not going to have that issue.
Exactly. Thank you so much for having me on, Jonathan. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Sam. All right. God bless you. God bless all you patriots out there for joining in today. And stay tuned for more border updates coming up. Yesterday, we broadcasted out all the drones flying over the southern border down here in Arizona. And Homeland Security is on their highest alerts right now. But again, I think the war's at our front door, guys. But you've been seeing my reports on the cartel, what's been happening down there. It's turning into a war zone. So keep our team in your prayers and keep this country in your prayers. And just stay alert, guys. All right, Sam, good having you on here today.
Thanks, Jonathan. I appreciate you very much.
All right, guys, this is Johnathon Alexander reporting live with Live Border News, and stay tuned for more updates to come. You all have a great day.